And good evening, one and all. Hey, Russ, how's it going?
All right, how's it doing?
Good, good, good. My computer, for some reason or another, just before I got on the air, it crashed on me. So I don't know if sometimes when it's like that, it crashes a few times in a row. So for anybody listening out there, if good evening, Dave Kraus, how's it going? I may or may not have an issue this broadcast, but well, we'll see what happens. In the meantime, let me see if I can do the screen share thing here share screen and uh, boy, it's in one of those moods. Okay, now I can't see the top. Boy, there we
Work with
go.
it, brother.
There
Work
we go.
with it.
There we go. I'm working with it. Okay, here we go. Let's see if let's see if I get my Windows up and running and it doesn't. Like I said, hopefully this won't lock up on me. But I've got while this thing starts up the V carve.
Hello, Kevin. Hello, Paul. Hi,
Kevin,
Dave.
Kevin, Paul, Dave. Good evening, all. I'm again. If I do fall off, I will come back on as soon as I possibly can. I may even switch computers at that point, but this is the one with Vectric on it, so I am hoping I don't crash here. But well, let's go ahead and get to it. How's it going, Russ? How you been these last couple weeks? Oh, did I lose Russ? No, I didn't. Hang on.
Oh, I'm saying I was talking. I was muted. I've been taking a Dayquil every day for the last couple of weeks, trying to fight this cold.
Oh, you've been sick? Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
All right. So today's project is going to be a simple. I saw it the other day on somebody's channel, and I don't remember whose it was, or it might have been a Pinterest page. Somebody made a little rack. I'm going to make jigs today, a couple of jigs for the shop. What's that?
I'm looking forward to it.
So today it's going to be a simple jig. It's basically something to hold your spray cans, and obviously, if you could scale it up from spray cans, you could hold quart cans or gallon cans or things like that. And basically, what it'll consist of is two side brackets and a bunch of shelves at 30-degree angles.
Yeah.
And so with a bunch of holes in it. It's very, very simple. I mean, hey, simple works best. You drop the can in the hole, and the shelf underneath it, or the back of the shelf, will actually hold the bottom of the can. Let's see if I'll design this and then you guys will hopefully see what I'm talking about. But basically, let's start by creating a simple. We'll make it 2 foot by 3 foot. Make it nice and easy. All right. So first we'll start with the sides, and I'm gonna do a couple of square sides, but eventually I'll come up with something other than square. But a 4-inch is the perfect depth for this thing. 4-inch by let's go ahead and make it whatever, 32 inches high. Okay. Now, this is one of the sides. We're going to make one side and then we're going to duplicate it. But basically, the side, what we're going to do is we're going to notch out every so often. We're going to notch out a little ledge for this. Okay, so I've got it in my head. It's a little hard to say, but what we're going to do now, let me zoom in on this piece here. And here is the side. There's the side of the piece, and this is going to be a notch. Let's make 2 notches. We'll make 2 notches. Yeah, that sounds good. So we're going to make a notch. I mean, sometimes I'm a little difficult to follow, but it'll all be wrapped up very quickly. The height is 0.75. We're going to assume that your plywood is exactly 0.75 for now, and we'll make the width. Let's make it 1 inch. All right, so we'll make it 1 inch. Now we're going to move this over here to the left, all the way over to the left. And then what we're going to do is, maybe a 1/4 inch in. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll go a 1/4 inch in. And then another one, copy and paste. We're going to make another one all the way to the right. And again, a 1/4 inch in or so. We'll grab both of these. These are going to be holes. So now they're not holes yet, but here, I'll tell you what, before we twist these, let's go ahead and do our wonderful little filleting tool. And we're going to make a dog bone fillet on all 4 little corners. This is just to make it easy for us. And we are making 0.125 or an 1/8 inch radius because our bit is a 1/4 inch bit. So there are these 2 holes. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it. So let's go ahead and rotate this right on the center. And we're going to rotate it. Let's try 25 degrees and see what happens. No, that's the wrong way. Let's try negative 25 degrees. And that seems a little too much. Let's try negative 20. How's that? It still seems like too much.
Too much.
Yeah, let's try 15. 15 is good. Okay, so we're going to do it 15 degrees. Now, you already see kind of exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead and lower these little holes down to the bottom. So imagine if you will, just for the sake of showing you guys something, imagine a shelf. Rotate negative 15. Imagine a shelf. Well, the shelf is actually going to be, the shelf is 3/4. All right, so imagine the shelf is right there. These 2 holes are where the dowels, if you will be at. Basically, they're going to be through holes. So what do I do now? Now I'm going to take, hang on a second, and I am going to duplicate these 2. Let me go ahead and group them. I'll duplicate these 2. Copy, paste. How high shall we put them? That's a very good question. And the answer is
taller than a paint can.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a paint can. The paint can is approximately, let's see, I'm looking at one right here. I don't know, 2.5 inches, 2 1/4, something like that. So let's make it 3 inches.
Yeah.
3 inches sounds good. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a hole 3 inches wide in the middle here. So let's say this paint can was 2.5 inches. We'll just create a little paint can here. Okay, about 7 inches high. Yeah, that's a good height by 2.5. That's actually roughly the paint can size. Now we are going to tilt it, obviously. So if we tilt it, and this is for the sake of illustration, we're going to rotate it again, that negative 15 degrees. And what we're going to do is pretend that this one, okay, so let's say there's a hole here. The next one's going to go up here. Yeah, it's see now one thing we notice is, hang on, let me see if I can. One thing we notice is if we have another one here, see, it's not tilted enough. We thought it was, but it's not. So what we'll do is we shall rotate this another, let's say another 10 degrees. That sounds about right. Right. And then obviously this one, another 10 degrees. So now if we connect this here, if we put it to the around here, still might not be enough. Okay, so let's go another 5 degrees here. So basically what we're looking at is a total of 30 degrees. And this is something that you guys gotta, play with and stuff. But and the reason why I'm doing this is the following. Okay, so let's say I have this. Now we know exactly how high to raise this one, because yeah, that would be good. Yeah, let me just all right, so you'll see that the pink can, this is the side view, and it's not very clear, but you'll see that let's actually lower that, because this actually has to go a little bit more right on the edge here. And so this will have to be a little bit lower. So there's a good distance. Now, what's the distance? I know we could take a measuring tool, but I just like to do it the easy way by making a square. We're looking at a height of 5.4. All right. So 5.4 inches. Let's see what we got here. Let's go ahead and create a few more of these holes. We'll get rid of these two things, and these holes will be. Let's get rid of the first one. We know it's about 5.4, so we'll just do a matrix and make them all identical. It will be offset 5.4 inches. There's going to be one column, and what are we going to make? About 8 of them. Let's see. No, that's too many. 7. No, I guess it's 6 rows. There we go. 6 rows of cans, folks. That's what we're going to have. Now, there is our wonderful little thing. Now, you're wondering, what the heck is this? Well, this is, very simply put, it's a board, which is going to be your sideboard. And since I'm not even going to bother to flip it. I could if I want, but it's symmetrical on both sides, so you could just flip it yourself. Well, okay, let's go ahead and flip it just for the heck of it. Show you guys the mirror tool. Okay, so there it is, mirror tool, and flip about, not flip about, job centered, and do not create a mirrored copy, flip horizontal. Boom, there it is. Okay, so we have our two sides, folks. So I'm just going to move them over. Actually, let me show you what they look like. Let me choose everything. And choose everybody okay over there? What who do you got out there?
Mako joined us, Troy, and Paul had a statement on here. He was giving you a little bit of advice what he would do.
By all means, shoot on.
He would pocket those holes a 1/2 inch. And then glue and staple them, but then you're not using the CNC for much.
No, you could absolutely do that. I mean, that is if you wanted to make it nice and neat on the sides.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on your preference. Right now, what I'm doing is there's actually there's a method to my madness. I like those little holes and those little designs, and it's kind of neat looking. Some people like them, some people don't. If you want to create a nice custom shape, then definitely do it the way Paul is suggesting. Because, all right, so let's say, okay, reset, then preview all toolpaths. Boom, boom. Okay, so I'm not going to
punch out the holes.
I'm not going to punch out all the holes, but basically you guys get the idea of what you're looking at. Now, obviously, I would have a little space on the bottom here for the bottom. Actually, you don't need a bottom rail. All you need is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual pieces holding it together, and that's it. So let's get to that. Let's get to the 6 pieces. Okay, so everything's fine here. Move it over out of the way here, and I'm going to do 6 pieces. They're all going to be identical. Well, no, they're not going to be identical. Here's what I'm going to do. First of all, let's do the big piece. It's going to be okay. Diagonally, this would be a little more than 4 inches, but really from this piece to this piece, well, I'm just going to make them 4 inches. So who cares? Let's see. Now, I've got the piece, and this will show you when I'm going to go quickly through all of this, but you'll see the technique I use to finding the width, and you got to do a little bit of analysis to get the right to match up these pieces with these pieces. If you didn't pre-plan the distance, all right.
You're making tenons, right?
I'm making tenons. So here we go. So first of all, what I want to do is I don't want to make it 24 by, first of all, it's going to be 4 inches. And it's going to actually be, the tenons are going to stick out 3/4 of an inch on each side. So 22.5 will be the distance.
Michael King just joined us.
How's it going, Michael? Okay, so let me go again. It's 22.5 by 4 inches. I'm going to start it actually on the 0, and actually the X will be 0.75. All right, so apply, boom, there it is. I'm about to add the tenons now. So let me just go ahead and let me go ahead and add the first tenon. Will be actually, let's take one of these. We got to find out the distance because we didn't pay attention in the beginning. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste, I'm going to drag this piece over here. I'm going to rotate it 30 degrees because that's, let's try that again. -30 and -30 there. Now we're back to 0 on these pieces. And I'm simply just going to do a little from here to here. Okay, what is that? That's, the width is let's say 1.65. Okay, so 1.65, that's our width. All right, back we go out to here, and we'll do our, let's start the bottom one off at 3/4 inches high. 0, 3/4. See if you guys can follow along what I'm doing. The width is going to be the full 24, and then the height is going to be 0.75. Apply. There's the bottom one. You notice I started at 0.75 up, et cetera, et cetera. Now what I'm going to do with the next one is, I'm just going to create a block here, and I'm going to start it at so the height, the X is 0. The height, and follow what I'm doing here, guys, 1.65 plus 0.75. So the original height, and I'm going to add, no, I'm sorry, plus 1.5 because it's, I'm adding the length of this, which is, this is 1.5 inches high. You notice it right down there. The Y says 1.5 inches high. And then I'm adding the 1.65. That's our starting point. At least that's what I'll attempt for our starting point. We'll adjust it after, but here we go. And then I hit the equal sign, boom, and it automatically adjusted 3.15. Width is going to be, of course, 24. The height is going to be 0.75. Now, you'll notice that they're offset. Well, no big deal. Because now what I do is, I was hoping they wouldn't be that far offset, but since they are, I group these two together. Then I take this one, hold the shift key. So I'm aligning the first one to the second. And simply use the Align Selected Objects tool and align this way to the selection. Boom. There they are. Now, it's a simple matter of taking all these things and merge, weld. Whoop. There's your thing with the tenons. Okay, that's wonderful. That's nice. That's all well and good. We need our holes. The holes are going to be 3 inches. So let's just make a random hole here. Nice big hole. And
big old hole. 13 inches.
13-inch hole. We'll change it to 3 inches. And we're going to make the center point at 2 inches, I think will be our first center point. So 2 inch and actually be 2 3/4 would be the 2 3/4 because we're adding the 3/4 tenon and 2 inches. I think that's a good spot. Yep, there it is. And then what we'll do is we shall take and let's go ahead and distribute these things. So it will be, let's make them, let's see, they're 3 inches wide. So we're going to make them 3.5 inches center to center. So let's see how many columns we need. We only need 1 row, and it's going to be offset of Y is 0, offset of X is 3.5, copy. Okay, we need more than that. Undo. Let's go 6 of them. Copy. That sounds good. Now, here's what I like to do. I like to take this one and just move it over to the right, preferably right to the edge. And then this is just one way to do it. And then I'll take and move it. So yeah, I'm doing a bunch of different techniques just to align these things, guys. So then I'm moving it relative to its point. I'm moving it to the left, 0.75. So here we go. X position minus 0.75. Nothing on the Y. I just moved it in. So this distance is 0.75. This distance is 0.75. Now what I'll do is, was this distance 0.75?
That's not.
It's not. It's it was 1/2 inch. Okay, so we'll move it back 0.25 to the right. Oop, I went the wrong way. It's this way. There we go. Boom. Okay. Now we take and we take all these wonderful things and we go back to the alignment tool and we say inside the last vector, well, it doesn't have to be. We just basically click on this. And it just evenly distributes them. Isn't that beautiful?
I love it.
And then we take the whole thing, copy, paste, we move it up. And here's what we're going to do with this. We are going to get rid of one, group these, group. And then we're going to take this to this and center it. Now we could, if we want, put them on top of each other, but I'd rather have them offset. And I'll show you why in a second. Well, I won't show you why, but I'll tell you why. Okay, so align, center. Okay. So now we have this, and then all we got to do is simply copy and paste. And paste again. We have all our pieces there, folks. We have all our pieces. So if you followed along, we have this piece here. Will in fact, let's just go ahead and select all these pieces.
Mike's asking what you're building.
All right. I will tell you right now. Calculate. All right. Now, obviously, let's see here, 3D view. Let's see, reset preview all toolpaths. Okay, folks. Now, obviously, you already saw the 2 on the side, but I'll show you again anyway. So let's say I get rid of these little nibbly bits. Okay, now you'll notice that this and the one on top of it. Okay, this is basically a shelf for paint cans. And again, if you know the size of your quart containers, you could just make a wider shelf and quart containers. So this gets placed these slip right into here. You can glue them. You can do them any way you want, or as Paul Stewart said, you can actually not go full bore, just go a little shorter. And I'll show you that right now. I'll show you that right now. But we'll go a little shorter, so you make these pockets instead of through holes. Right now they're through holes because I like looking at these little holes. Imagine, if you will, these shelves that I created are right here, and there's a paint can, and I'll create another paint can again. Let's say I got a paint can here, and my paint can obviously will be tilted at 30 degrees. All right, so I've got my paint can. Hopefully you guys can see here. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see that well enough, Russ?
Yeah.
All right, so I've got this shelf right here along these two tenons. There's a hole. Obviously, the bottom shelf will be flat. We'll have no holes. Or you'll have another shelf underneath, and then this one will slip down the bottom. But assuming, okay, so now what happens? This one here, and you'll have to make, this can't go up against the shelf. You'll have to actually take this and make it wider if you want, like so. And obviously the same thing goes for this. Make sure it's the same length. So now you've got a paint can here. The sprayer's up on top. And it slips right into here. There's a hole here. And if I have another paint can, it'll slip into the hole here and land. And the corner of it right here, or against the wall, whichever way you want to look at it, the corner of it right here lands right on one of these things. So, not sure if I'm explaining myself well, but the paint can from up above is going to land right here. This edge, it will stop it. So the paint cans basically are easily accessible. Let me see if I can find a good picture for you guys, because I do have one. If my doesn't crash, if my thing doesn't crash here, I'm hoping. If not, I'll be back shortly. But Pinterest.
Yeah, there was one on Facebook a couple of days ago that somebody had done real similar to that.
Yep. And so I've got my little cool CNC projects, and here it is.
Yeah.
So this is basically what I'm doing. So you guys got the idea. Now, obviously, this is done a little bit different than mine, but that's, again, you can also, exactly as this guy did here, you could have much of them and have the notches. So the other ones lay down there. I mean, this is a better and a worse design, because I mean, it's I would put two notches on the sides, just to sturdy up the shelves, but I would add the support on the bottom for this thing, so there is that. But you could add, obviously, I don't have that many cans of WD-40. Well, maybe I do. They're just all put away.
I bet you do.
I bet I do. I just would never know about it. But
hello, Andrew. Andrew Haig just joined us.
Andrew Haig joined us. Well, anyway, so that's the project du jour, and that's a nice little project for anybody that wants to do something similar. And we'll go ahead and I don't know. Let's see if we can come up with another project, because it's only been half an hour. Does anybody have any suggestions that you guys want? Okay, so, I was going to show you if he pocketed the holes half an inch, and then the finished project would be nicer. So let's go ahead and do that. That's a great idea. Okay, so where are we? Where's my share screen? There it is. All right. So let's go back to this. Now, obviously, It's a simple matter because right now all we did was, I mean, we really wouldn't have to change much.
No.
All we would have to do is we'll take this piece here and hang on. Let me go ahead and take all of these pieces, actually the entire thing, and I will move it to absolute 0, 0 because it's not exactly at 0. There we go. Now it's at 0. At least I hope it is. Why is this one not at 0? Hang on a second. Oh, they were each off by a little bit, so they're just added. All right. They're all over the place. I'm glad I did this. Okay, so that's what happens when you go quickly and don't pay attention to anything. All right, so we have, remind me later. A new update for parallels. How exciting. Okay, so now we have these at 0, 0. So all I got to do now is take and make a, in fact, I'll do it from right here. Position 0, 0. It's going to be, the width is going to be 1/4 inch because we're shaving off 1/4 inch. You guys, I think, can see what I'm doing. I'm creating this little thing right here. Let me make it a little more than 1/4 inch. And let me get these things out of the way here. All right. So I made this one a little bit more than 1/4 inch. And let me go ahead and do the same thing to the right side. The right side is a lot easier because all I got to do is go start at x is 0. I'm sorry, y is 0, x is 23.75, and this one I'll just make it 1/2 inch thick so it overlaps. Create, there it is. All right, and I made it so it overlaps. So all I got to do is select all of these. It helps if I actually select all of these. There we go. And let's group them. So that, hold the shift key, minus that. Remember, it's the first one minus the second, or the first one plus the second, or the first one aligned to the second. It's the last one you shift, remember, is the one it's going.
Uh-oh. You went froze. Either you're froze or I am. Can y'all still hear me in the chat? Can y'all hear me in the chat? Uh-oh, it's just me. Javi dropped out. He'll be back in just a second. He's been having crashing issues and with the computer that he's on. So, and he said this one's the only one that has the Vectric on it. So he's going to have to go out and come back in again. What do you think about his paint can shelf? I saw one on Facebook the other day, a couple of three days ago, something like that. It was real similar.
I'm back.
Nice to see you back. Hey, not that button.
Yeah, well, I'm still rebooting, believe it or not. I am still rebooting. I am unfortunately, that's the problem with tonight's the other show is going to be fine because the other show that I have tonight at 10, the 80s retro show, is going to be on the other computer. But this one is annoying, and this is the one I have my parallels on. So it finally rebooted. and restore the pages. The part that sucks is since I didn't save, and this should be a lesson, guys. But basically, you saw what I was going to do. Is I was going to let me while I'm rebooting here, I was basically going to subtract half an inch off, quarter inch from each side, and then the other piece is you guys know is the same pockets we used, same exact pockets. Make them only half an inch deep instead of
Right.
3/4 of an inch deep, and you're good to go. You are good to go. Same thing. Glue it, nail it if you like, but let me tell you, for something like that, glue is fine. And this thing's repairing my drive. Oh, how exciting!
Especially with the two tendons on each shelf on each side, that's strong enough
Yeah,
to hold anything you're going to put on it.
absolutely. Let me switch over to the computer. And how do I knock myself out? Oh yeah, I know. Damn it.
Hey, we got an echo.
Yeah, that's easily fixed. Drives me up the wall. No, last time I did that. See, here's what happened last time. Last time I actually oh, good evening. Well, let me say good evening to everybody now that I'm here. It's well, Dave and Kevin, I saw you guys, and Paul. Good evening, Michael. And when you came in, good evening, Andrew, of course. Again, I'd like to thank Andrew for his wonderful help. We cleared out, well, a lot of bamboo last time I was up there. Mario, good to see you. Yeah, so last time, or actually my first show, it was at the 55-minute mark.
Hello. I think he did it again. This is going to be about all she wrote for tonight, folks. Well, pretty soon he's going to leave again and come back in again. And Mike, your comment is apropos again.
Not even gonna mess with it anymore. I'm not turning that computer on anymore. That's it. It's gone.
Hey, get rid of that CNC master over
Yeah,
there.
as soon as I can figure out which one is hang on a second. And
There you are.
there you go. So this is not easy. So anyway, what I was about to say before I was so rudely interrupted by my computer. Same thing happened to me the other day with Al Forte on the first show.
I remember that. Yeah.
55, 56 minutes in, I was getting ready to sign off, and sure enough, my computer locked up. Then I went on here, and you guys saw me, but I couldn't. I had lousy connection, so I couldn't. I was frozen on my phone. Now it's working perfectly fine, but I was frozen on my phone. So I go, you know what? I don't know. Let me get out of my phone because I just finished rebooting the computer. And rather than knock myself off, I clicked end by accident. And that's it. The whole show closed. And I go, yeah, because you can't get on once you stop the stream, that's it. It's done. So I almost did that time. So it is what it is. Anyway, so folks, it's gonna be an early show tonight, but because I'm not getting on that computer again, I'm gonna make sure that I set up for next week with I'll have a backup. Uh, anyway, if anybody has any questions as far as CNC, whether it's on the controller, because I know that a lot of I've been getting a few emails lately on I've got this problem, that on the they've got questions about hooking up and things like that on the Hobby Box, the Hobby Box CNC controllers that I sell now. One person recently contacted me, and I don't know if he's out there, if he's listening, but it was a simple issue. For some reason or another, I don't know if he wired. Normally, I check the motors, and the motors I bundle with the unit, they go out in proper direction. But apparently for this guy, his arrows were backwards on the Y and on the Z. Sorry, on the X and on the Z. It's a simple fix. It's a really simple fix. I mean, you've got two choices. You could either take the red and the blue and swap them with each other of one of the motors. That will reverse the direction. You could take the blue and the green, swap them, only one pair or the other, swap them with each other. Or you could take the plus from one, I mean, both sets, and this is just kind of pointless to do so, but one of them's labeled A plus and A minus. The other one's B plus and B minus. If you swap A plus and B plus, and you swap A minus and B minus, in other words, the red and blue with the black and the green without inverting them, that will also reverse it. So, I mean, there's lots of ways to do it. The easiest of all ways is to do it with the software. There's one point where it'll say DIR in the ports and pins in Mach 3, DIR low active. There's a checkbox. Check it on or check it off. Just switch the check. That will reverse that motor. It's that simple. It's that simple. Now, if you ever have an issue, which nobody in one of my machines will, but you never know, if you end up wiring one of your own motors and on the Y, the table is going, they're running in two different directions, the two motors, that's on you. That's basically you did not wire both of them identically, or what sometimes happens is the motors don't come wired identical. Just because they have four colors doesn't mean the four colors are always the same. They'll give you a little layout and it says A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus. But guess what? From Stepper Online, high quality motors, I have bought a batch of 40 motors, and 5 or 10 of them at random were wired backwards. And you don't know because they wire them in bulk and they wire them to whatever coil they don't pay attention to. Most of the time they do, but it makes no difference. It's a 50-50 shot you got for that thing running backwards. Most of them are fine. Most of them are wired identically, but not all. I'm telling you right now, not all. So if you're in the condition that, if you're in the situation where one Y goes one way and one Y goes the other, you can't solve that with software, because both Ys will either go backwards or forwards together. Both the A and the Y, they're wired together. They're hardwired together. So the only solution is on your motor, do what I first told you, which is swap the blue and green. And then that way they'll both run in the same direction. And that's the solution for that. I'm trying to think of the most commonly asked questions, and that's one that I have to put on my website, because I have frequently asked questions for all the setups. One of the ones I get often is, what do I do once I get the motors? How do I get them to run? Because there's a lot of people that don't know. You go on my website under the frequently asked questions number 20, you'll have the 2 files you need. Download them and put them exactly where they are, and you're up and running. You plug it into the computer, you load Mach 3, you load those 2 files, and you have got a working CNC with my hobby box. Let's see what else.
Stephen Toronto just joined us.
Hey, Stephen, how's it going? Good evening. Good evening. So I hope you guys like that design for the spray can / quart can holder. You can even make it, if you beef up your brackets on the wall, You can even make it to hold gallon cans if you're if you're so inclined. And if you like, I mean, frankly, I'd rather have shelves for that. But if you want to use up that much plywood, I don't like lifting gallon cans out of holes. I'd
Nah.
rather just slide them off the shelves. Keep things simple, folks. Don't go crazy. Bad motors are usually made on a Monday or a Friday.
Coming back to work or getting off, huh?
That's fantastic.
He's got it down, don't
He's probably right.
he?
Probably right. Probably right. But let's see if there's any other questions I can think of. Other than that, is anybody having any issues? Well, software wise, with Mach 3, with not Mach 3, with Vectric. I mean, you guys all listen to Mark's videos, so if you ever have an issue, I know you always ask Mark, but I'm here now. If you have any questions as far as how do I do a fillet? How do I do a I mean, I show them all the time on my show because you guys know I have everybody has their particular way of doing things, and most of what I design and I've been showing a lot of the 2D stuff, but this is just the basics. All you got to do for the 3D stuff is stretch your mind and be a little more creative. It's all the same techniques, basically. And I like working with 2D because, frankly, it's I can easily make a 3D object out of 2D, and if you learn how to do that and you're proficient at it, remember, if you're gonna make money at this, it's all about speed.
Yeah.
And you cut a bunch of parts out with very little waste, and you cut them fast. Let's say you're making, I don't know, dog bowls, just to because there's one guy out there making dog bowls or cornhole boards, right? Cornhole board is nothing more than a circle in a square. I mean, you can cut those all day long on the table saw, and then the smaller components you can just batch them out. And you can basically have your 2 foot by 4 foot board, lay it on there, cuts a hole, next one, cuts a hole. I mean, and you make them and you package them all day. Get a bunch of 2x6s and make if you have a setup, you can actually if you have a big jig where everything's spaced exactly right, you can set up a few 2x6s and make a bunch of Adirondack chair parts.
Yeah.
With the first, you would take the round over, not the round over, the it's also kind of the half round, and you could just, or the quarter round, whatever you want to call it, and you round over the top edge. Then you cut it. I mean, you don't need a bottom edge on the handle, you need a top edge on the handles, and everything else is just cut and chuck, again, all about speed. If you want, if you're doing production, if you're doing stuff like that, a lot of the techniques I use, everybody's got their own style. My style, as I was saying, is I basically use addition and subtraction. It's nothing more than that. You break up. Look, I've been a contractor for years, and reading plans. For any of you that have ever been in the construction trade and reading plans and doing estimates and such, it's all about triangles, rectangles, and circles. That's it. I mean, it's very, very simple. You break up a floor plan into its component parts, whether it's rooms or a rotunda or if you want to do, for instance, if you want to do a bay window and you want to get the area under the bay window, that's a trapezoid. It's simple. You either do base times height divided by 2, or I mean base. Sorry, the top of the 2 bases divided by 2 times the height, or you could simply do this. Just do base times height as if it was a rectangle and take out the 2 triangles. Again, a rectangle minus 2 triangles is the same as the formula for a trapezoid. Everything could be broken down into addition or subtraction of geometric objects, and that's all that we're doing here. That's all that I've ever done on this show for the most part, and you guys have seen it. I'll do little rectangles, I'll tilt them, I'll put fillets on it. That's adding circles. I will do circles, and I'll if I need tenons, I'm adding a rectangle. It's not it's not hard. It's something that if it is difficult to you, it's you have to just sit back and get used to thinking that way. If that's what you want, some people do it completely differently, and this is just it resolves anything that you want to make, anything you want to take apart, anything you want to fix. If you've ever fixed an issue, whether it's an engine or something else, you break it down into its component parts. It's everything in all our maker lives is nothing more than that. How do you do something? Simple. You don't see it as complicated. You see it, you start taking it apart. How many of you as kids took stuff apart and then couldn't get it back together? Well, if you take enough stuff apart, you figure out how to do it right so you can put it back together. And sometimes even now, it's still tough.
Paul had a question. He said, if a pocket toolpath misses part of the area that is to be pocketed, what could cause that?
Okay, if a pocket toolpath misses part of the area, that's a difficult question, because how? It's very possible that you've got the wrong bit size in the toolpath. Let's say you put a pocket toolpath for a 1/4 inch, and you actually have an 1/8 inch bit in there. It's going to miss a considerable amount of it. It's going to be offset. Another reason could be and we're talking strictly pocket pool cats. That's good. Pocket tool paths. Another possibility is that your overlap is wrong, or set incorrectly, and this is assuming there are no mechanical issues with slipping or losing steps, which can happen as well. But if that were the case, I mean, you guys know how to identify missing steps. Somewhere in the job, it's all offset by either X, Y, both, or Z, or all three. Basic or combination of X, Y, and or Z. So for instance, if you're cutting at the perfectly proper length, but then half your job is all of a sudden cutting less, well, you've lost a step. If you're cutting a circle, let's say cutting out a profile, and then the next step down, whoa, it's offset by a 1/4 inch, you've lost a step one way or the other. So you could tell mechanically if you've lost a step. That's the mechanical side. You normally don't lose steps unless you physically altered the toolpath on purpose and took out a line or so. You don't normally lose steps in the software.
Well, he said that the bits are correct and it's a good overlap, but it's missing the center. He said it's cutting about 95% of it.
Okay. Check the bit, because this could also be another possibility. Make sure it's a flush trim bit. Sometimes people put in 2 fluted bits, and the fluted bit they're just the edges, and you will actually miss the center. because there won't be a a bit in the center.
He says his first two passes are correct, but the final pass is the one that misses the center.
What kind of a pocket? Is it a simple circle, a square? Is it a complicated pocket? Is it you're hollowing out an area, or is it you're cutting in between a bunch of areas? Because sometimes what happens is now one thing. Did you check? And this is the big one. Did you run your, like in the case of Mach 3? Did you run your with the actual? Did you run your toolpath slowly to see what it's doing, and follow it along and see on the sample if it did it? If it did it on the sample, then clearly something you did in the design is causing the toolpath to go wrong. If it's not, then it's either mechanical, and like I said, if it's not offset, it may not be mechanical, or it might be something as simple as, like I said, let's say you have I have a half-inch bit. I have a set of half-inch end mills. Two of them have a cutter right on the bottom edge because they are flush mount. They can cut. You can actually cut them straight down, and they will cut a round dowel hole straight down. One of them only has the carbide bits on the edges, does not have it on the bottom. So if you cut it down, it'll do nothing but burn the bottom. You'll see like a button in the middle, and you'll see it cutting the edges. So that has to be, if it's a very, very tight space, you gotta cut in between two lines. Right. In between two lines, a complicated path. Okay. Aha. Okay. Are you using a 3D toolpath or something like a oh my God, what's the name of that? It's in Aspire. It's the what is it in Aspire, Russ? It's like when you're making a banana or a round circle or something. The when you take two lines and you cut a path in between the two lines. Oh my God, my mind went blank.
Me too, actually. I can't get it from what you're saying.
I taught it on one of my shows, and I'm trying to remember what it's called.
It's modeling? Paul asked, is it modeling?
It's 3D modeling, but it's not called modeling. It's called oh my God, my mind went blank. You create two lines, and you have, okay, so here's how you do it in Aspire is you have two lines. Let's say you have two simple, let me see, where's that camera? Let's say you have two simple vertical lines. And then you have a curve. Let's say you have a little trapezoidal curve. And then what you do is those two lines, and again, this is part of the word, and I can't remember it. You choose the two lines, then you choose the shape, and it
two rail sweep and stuff is the only thing I remember.
Thank you, the two rail sweep. Oh my God.
All right, you needed me, brother.
I'm glad you're there, Russ. It's been a while. It's been a year since I've done the two rail sweep, but anyway, still remember. But okay, so an inside outside line grouped and pocketed. See. Are you doing a two rail sweep? Because if you are, make sure both start points are on the same side. Because sometimes people do a two rail sweep one side than the other, and then the path is really weird. It crisscrosses, and then you'll have a gap in the middle. But if they're just joined path lines, okay. If they're joined path lines, then that's kind of an easy one. I mean, here's another possibility. Let me see if I can set this down here because I'm sick and tired of holding my phone. There you go. If you have two path lines, let's say you have a rectangle, and the rectangle is a 1/4 inch thick. and you have a 1/4 inch bit, there is a possibility that it will not do it. Let's say it's 0.251 and high, 251, a little over a 1/4 inch, and you have a 1/4 inch bit. It will pocket it, but there is a possibility that somewhere along your path, a line, maybe through a technical glitch, or maybe because it was slightly curved, maybe you didn't realize that it wasn't a straight line and you have a slight curve. So now what looks like a rectangle to you is actually a very, very slightly bowed in rectangle, where that center part that is very, very thin and just barely above the line, guess what? Now it doesn't, again, I'm throwing things out here for you. An inside and an outside line grouped and pocketed. Yeah, so your pocket in between. So you have an inner rectangle and you have an outer rectangle. Check that those lines are straight and parallel, because if they're not, then it's possible, like I said, that the bit will refuse to go in if you're if the area is smaller than the bit. Try it. If it's a simple pocket, get a smaller bit and try it with that bit. That may work. Make sure you have a registered version of Aspire and Vectric, because I know for a fact some of the free versions, they have some major, major problems, and their paths are really willy-nilly on some paths. I've seen that happen. People go, "Hey, why is it different? Let me run it." I run the same path that they did. Guess what? Didn't happen a thing. And I've created paths for some people that have just been completely off. So something to be said about being fully licensed, because there are some, whether they're planned or whether they're just security fixes that haven't been addressed, there are problems with, I know because I've had a couple of them. And because I've had different versions at different times, and let's just say I have a licensed version of every one of the models, but of Aspire and of VCarve, but have an older version of Aspire and a newer version of VCarve. But there was a while there where, every now and then I'll just grab one of any version that I can, because I got them all on the computer, and they won't work. That's another possibility. Also, one way to alleviate it, again, try a smaller bit, and I'll leave you on this last thing, or try to do a VCarve on it and see if anything happens with the VCarve path. With that, let me go ahead and sign off here, folks. Let me know how you make out, Paul. I'll be talking to you soon. I'm going to go ahead and get off this and reboot my computers so I can get on the tonight's show. Will be all about the Ice Cream Man. And I have a lot of wonderful things about the Ice Cream Man, the retro show. Guys in their 50s and 60s talking about the 70s and 80s. So tune in. And with that, folks, everybody, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. See you all soon, and see you all in an hour or so, if you are so inclined. Good night.
Good night, folks.